TRX is correct, the AAU, the research accreditation of the University of Miami helps any move. But again, I do believe that is even more valued in the Big Ten, which has the highest preponderance of AAU research accredited schools. So from that ethos, I think that is the hype on that Tallahassee nurses school warranted. That's funny. I love that. It was, yeah. That's going back to the founding of that school. You can look at the former charter and name and everything. I don't necessarily think that. I think the hype towards potentially challenging for the ACC championship is there. I don't think that they're national championship good. I think that there are a couple pitfalls on that schedule for them. LSU in week 2 or week 1, 2, 1. LSU and then Clemson in week 4. Those are probably their toughest challenges in this season. Their over-under is 9.5, I want to say. I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about that. I think 10-2 or 9-3 are equally reasonable for Florida State. I don't think that they're an 11-1, 12-0. I don't see that in them this year for a couple of reasons. They really did beat up on a bunch of bad teams last year, including Miami, and they beat the hell out of us. I'm not sure about their consistency. I know that they're going to be explosive on offense. I think that they still do have some holes on defense. To this point, they have not heard anything on Daryl Jackson's waiver, which, if that does not come through, is a massive, massive loss for their defense, because they brought him in, former starting defensive tackle Miami last year, to really shore up the interior of that defensive line on a consistent basis. And if he's not available to play for them this year, that takes something that they thought was going to be passable with him there, and it takes it then to a major question mark for them. And again, you're leading off with LSU, who, I hate Brian Kelly. You know why? RIP to Declan Sullivan. I think he's a terrible person and should be held accountable for that, and I will never, ever, ever forget or forgive that. But my personal hatred aside, that jerk can recruit his ass off and can coach football. And LSU is a very talented team. And I think that they are they have the ability to beat Florida State. I think that Clemson can or will beat Florida State until I see otherwise. So hype is a 10-win team for FSU, I think deserved. Anything past that, like national championship, I think that's a little too far, but I do think that they're in the upper echelon of programs. But I would be interested to see even if they achieve the full level of production and performance across this season that they even had last season, because and you can only play who's on your schedule. So I'm not saying this to fault them, but there were a lot of empty calorie wins for them last year, including the University of Miami, who was, just air puffs. Just absolutely nothing. So, yeah, you're thinking like, oh, these W's, these are real hearty meals, and like, oh, this is full of protein, and this like means a lot. A lot of empty calorie wins for them last year. So I don't necessarily see them at the super top, but as a double-digit win team that should, if things go for them, go to the ACC championship game, I think that kind of hype is warranted.